to the College Football Hall of Fame.
Tim, how did you find out? What was your reaction?
I found out my family surprised me on Monday, and just before the announcement, and was completely taken off guard. I had no idea it was coming. Honestly, I kind of put that thought in the back of my mind because it had been several years on the finals list, and you get your hopes up. By. So I just kind of put it on the back burner. I said, if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to stress about it, worry about it anymore. But I'll tell you, I was very relieved when they broke the news and told me I was going in. It's just an unbelievable honor. One that you never dream of when you're actually in the moment playing this game. You just want to be the best teammate you can be, and you're trying to go out there and win football games. You never dream of something like this happening. So definitely an overwhelming feeling.
Tim, you set national records in high school. You played here, #1 draft pick, now Hall of Fame. Can you wrap your head around how a kid from Hayden is sitting right here right now?
No, I had some time to reflect over the last few days of, what all's happened in my career. And, I think, when you're in the moment as a player, like I said, you're never trying to be a first pick in the draft or an All-American or a Hall of Famer. You just work it hard. You just want to be the best quarterback that you can be for your team because, that position is so important. Your teammates rely on you week in and week out. And, my biggest motivator was fear of letting my teammates down. And that's really what drove me to work hard and be the player that I became. And, all the accolades that came with it were just a result of all the hard work that I put in and being around some great coaches. I think the coaches that I was around made a huge impact on my career and some phenomenal players that I got a chance to play with as well.
Because you had so much hype in high school, you had that pressure from day one. How did you deal with all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just think I had good people around me. Was fortunate enough to have an older brother who was 4 years older than me. He was a quarterback as well, and he played at Eastern Kentucky, and so he helped me through the process quite a bit. And then, just had good people around me, good supportive friends and family that kept me grounded and kept my focus where it should be, which was on working to become a better player. And, it is hard I remember, as a junior and senior in high school, and every time I would come out of a classroom, there would be Joe Paterno in the hallway or Steve Spurrier or Lou Holtz or, all these coaches were always, there at my games, and the recruiting just never stopped. And it was overwhelming. It was tough, but like I said, I think I had a great support staff around me to help me work through those situations.
Can you imagine what it'd be like now if you had commercials and all that?
No, I was telling my brother the other day, I think if NIL was around, I think I'd had to take a pay cut to go to the NFL. So.
There's a time when we all play and you hear the cheers every day, and then it goes away for a while.
Yeah.
And then it comes back.
Right.
What does that do to kind of rejuvenate and say, I was pretty good at one time back in the day?
Yeah, the time passes, and you kind of forget what you accomplished, like you said, and and then all of a sudden these accolades start rolling in, and you realize how special things like this are. And the National Football Foundation sent me some information on the Hall of Fame. And they said, I think it's 5.7 million people have played college football, and I think there's only 1,200 people in the Hall of Fame. So, the numbers on that it's a pretty rare deal that you get selected for this. So it was a long wait for me, but when you look at it like that, and you look at the numbers, and you look at the incredible players that go into this deal and coaches each year, it's you see why it takes so long and why the process is like this. And just incredibly thrilled, incredibly honored, and humbled to be going into this class, and especially with the guys I'm going in with, likes of Randy Moss and Larry Fitzgerald and Warwick Dunn and Julius Peppers, and it's just a very strong class that I'm very, very honored that my name's a part of.
How many of those fellow Hall of Famers have you had contact with, or do you know at all? Really?
I know several of them. Yeah, Alex Smith also is going in. I know Alex. I trained with him when he was coming out of Utah. I was coming off a shoulder surgery, and we were at IMG Academy. We had the same agent, and I trained with Alex before he was drafted #1 overall his year. So I know Alex, and met Randy. We played him a few times, things like that. But Warwick Dunn, I've met him a few times. So I know some of these guys. But it'll be good to get a chance to reconnect and see them and talk to them. I haven't talked to a lot of them in many years, so it should be a lot of fun for us out in Vegas.
You mentioned seeing your name pass by several years. Were you disappointed? Were you angry? How would you describe, how you process that?
Yeah, I think It was kind of a conflict, yeah, I understood both sides of it. I felt a little bit disappointed, I think, which is natural. I'm a competitive guy, and you see names on there, and you see the quarterbacks that get selected, and obviously your mind starts thinking, well, maybe I should have went over that guy. I think that's just normal how everyone works. But not to say those guys weren't deserving, because they are. And that's what you got, then I would step back and think, well, he's deserving to be in here also. It's just a matter of time, and I wanted to be in, and I'm just glad it happened, and it was well worth the wait. Now that I look back at it, once your name is called, you forget about the years that your name was passed by immediately, and all you are is just thankful and gracious and humbled to get that call, and you realize how special it is. And there's a lot of guys on the list this year that it felt just like I did for those years, that deserved to be in, that got overlooked, and their time is coming as well.
You've had a remarkable life to this point, but you've heard the old saying, you can take the boy out of the mountain, can't take the mountain out of the boy. Is there things about about your personality you can kind of come up now and say, yeah, I'm from the mountains?
Oh yeah. It's I'm born and raised in Eastern Kentucky, and I'm proud I'm from that area. I think it made me who I am. It made me the player I am. I know it made me competitive. It made me mentally tough. It made me realize that you have to work for everything that you get. That nothing's going to be handed to you in life. I had a resilient attitude. Of just no matter how good things were, how bad things were, I think I stayed level-headed and never got too down on myself. Never got too high on myself when things were going great. And I think that that comes from having great parents. Great parents that taught me the right way, and they taught me how to treat people the right way. And I'd like to think that as I've went along through my career and through my life, that I've always treated people the right way and with respect. And I think that directly comes from where I'm from.
The talk of the statue that's going to go up.
Yeah.
Do you get to pick the pose?
I do. Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, they're going to let me work with them on that. But that's another honor that's just that I'm blown away by. They called me a few weeks ago on that and said they wanted to put a statue up, and normally on those things they're maybe want to ask for money or whatever like that to donate, and they said we don't want a dime from you. This is going to be funded by everyone, and the county is going to donate and things like that. So I'm just very honored, man. That place means a lot to me. It really does. And like I said, born and raised there, and very proud to be from Eastern Kentucky. And they have supported me. That community has supported me and lifted me up and built me up throughout my career. And they all got behind me, and there was so much momentum going with it. In high school, it motivated me to want to make them proud, to want to make the people from there proud, because it's a very small town. It's 350 people in my hometown, and things like that don't happen very often, where people are breaking national records and become the #1 recruit in the country, and first team All-American and #1 draft picks and things like that. It just doesn't happen. And I as I would go through my career, I felt their support from afar, and it certainly pushed me to work harder and to be a good person and to represent Leslie County and that area and that part of the state the right way.
I can hear your voice cracking just a bit. I'm sitting there wondering, is that statue going to mean more or as much as a Hall of Fame?
It means a lot, it really does, because, that's where I'm from, and I got to do those things in high school with, high school is a very special time because you're playing with the guys that you grew up with. You're throwing touchdowns to your buddy from down the street. It's not like college where you get hearing guys from all over the country, and not that you don't have special bonds with them as well, but there's just something special about, playing with the guys you went to kindergarten with all the way through high school. And that means a lot that we got me and my friends accomplished those things together. When the time I graduated, I had, the national record in yards and touchdowns and completion percentage. And so we had done things that no one in the history of high school football had ever done from that little town. And I got to do that with my friends, which was very special. And that's kind of what that statue represents to me is, the people that I played with, the great coaches that I had. Mike Whitaker was my coach from an early age all the way through high school, was a phenomenal football player. He actually played at UK for a year and then transferred and played for Coach Kidd at at Eastern, had a great career, and when his career was over, he came back and coached me when I was in 7th and 8th grade all the way through, and he made a huge impact on my career. He was teaching me to be, a college quarterback, how to read defenses and use, my footwork and my throwing mechanics and all those things from a 7th and 8th grader. So he coached me hard, and it made a huge difference on me. So there's just so many people back there that I'm appreciative of, and like I said, all the, the support from that community, that got behind me, and we're just so proud of everything that I was accomplishing along the way, and it just made me want to work harder and just continue to be successful.
Tim, have you talked to Hal? Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Hal last night. I called him and just, thanked him for what he did for me, and, certainly told him I wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame without him, and without that whole thing happening where C.M. Newton, the athletic director at the time, took a chance on a small Division II coach, I guess it was Division III, Valdosta State, whatever they were, an unknown, and Hal Mumme, and said, we're going to bring this guy to the SEC, and we believe it's going to work. And he just so happened to have Mike Leach with him as well. And, it was just it was a perfect fit for all of us. And, I was very down in the dumps after my freshman year, and, playing for Coach Curry in that season and running the option and doing all the things that happened that year, had me really questioning, could I play at this level? Maybe, this is, when you're starting against Florida on the road and running the option and losing 60-0, questions started coming to your mind a little bit. But when Hal and Mike got here and they put me in a system that was fit for me, then my career really took off. And not only my career, but the careers of guys like Craig Yeast and Anthony White, and all the great players that I had around me. It was just a better fit for them as well. And just so thankful for Hal for being, ahead of his time, an innovator in the passing game, and he saw something in me that, he had total belief that, I could go out and throw the ball, 40, 50 times a game against competition like, Georgia and Florida and LSU or whoever. He had so much belief in me, and it made me believe in myself even more. And, things just really took off. I'm very, very, very thankful for Hal and what he did for me.
Makes you wonder, nowadays, you talk about NIL, but transfer portal back then.
Yeah, I would have been in it, I think. Probably halfway through that first year. I loved Kentucky growing up. Obviously, I'm from here. But, back then, Kentucky football they were struggling. They really were. And, they were running the option, and, they had promised, well, we're going to change the offense when you get here. We'll put you in the shotgun. And, of course, we get to training camp, and the first play we put in is me coming down the line on the option and pitching off the end who's not blocked. And I call my dad. I'm like, this is not going to work for me here. I don't know if they saw my tape, but I'm no option quarterback. It worked out, and things are just meant to be sometimes. I'm glad that I stayed, and I'm glad that I accomplished what I accomplished at Kentucky. I was verbally committed to Tennessee before I changed my mind and decided to come to Kentucky. And I'm so glad I did, because not that I wouldn't have had great success at Tennessee. I think I would, because they were such a talented football team back then as well. But it means so much more for me to do it wearing the blue and white and wearing Kentucky across my chest and in front of my family. Just getting a chance to play here as a kid is, you watch these games growing up, and now you're out there in the stadium and you're playing. It's a dream come true for a kid from Kentucky.
I always heard the quote. I never knew if it was fact or fiction. You really called your dad. Daddy, they're running the option?
Oh, yeah. First play we put in training camp, and I was like, this is not going to be my year. So it was a long year. And but I told him, once, because I turned down, I was either going to Tennessee, Ohio State, Florida, and then Kentucky. And I told him, I was like, I'll give it 1 year, because, it's not a fit for me. They're an option team. And I'll give it a year. If it's not working out, then I'm going to, sit out a year, transfer, and go somewhere else. But he really, really wanted me to be here. And, at the time, as a young kid, I didn't understand why, but now I do. He was right. It turned out that he made the right decision, and he knew what the best place for me was. And, it's led to many, many things for me after football. Being the fact that I stayed home and played, it's led to some great business opportunities for me in this state, and for me and my brother. And we've really been able to, get with some people that we would have never met if I didn't come to Kentucky, and had some great connections and great opportunities. So very thankful for many reasons other than football that I decided to stay home and play here.
you talk about that first year being rough, what would you, for any advice would you give your freshman version of yourself or any 18-year-old trying to endure some college football?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you're always going to have adversity as an athlete, and it's never an easy walk. It's a big jump from high school to the SEC, and it's a big jump, and you just it's overwhelming. You're starting all back over. I'd accomplished everything that I possibly could at the high school level, but I remember when I got here as a freshman, no one cared. Like, what are you going to do for us? Literally, and that's the way it is. And so I just got to work, and I went right to work, and you learn quickly that no one on this team cares what you accomplished in high school or somewhere else. Is what can you do for us? And I learned that, and I learned how to work, and I learned how to get the respect of the veteran players. I was always in the weight room with them. There was never a workout that I missed. There was never a practice that I missed. I was doing exactly what they were doing, and I tried to be one of the hardest workers on the team. And I think you earn respect like that. And I think when you're going through adversity and you're going through tough times, people are going to see how you react to it. And I think especially at the quarterback position, they're going to watch you. They're going to watch. Is he going to hang his head? Is he going to make this all about him, or is he a team guy? And I always put the team first. And even though I was struggling that year, I still was at practice. I was still working hard, still in the meeting rooms, paying attention, taking notes. Never let that affect me in my preparation as a player. But it was, on the inside, it was eating me alive. But I knew I had work to do and had to get better as a player if I wanted to get on the field, whether it was going to be here or somewhere else.
Have you had those conversations with Cutter? I mean, he's in a similar spot going into this year that you were.
Not exactly those conversations. We've had quite a few. I got to know Cutter really well. He played with my son the last couple years at LCA, so got to know him and his family. He's got great parents who give him great advice. And but I've certainly helped Cutter on some things, and will continue to help him and want to be a resource for him whenever I can. I know that I've certainly walked in his shoes. I know exactly what he's going through. Him being a home state kid and deciding to come to play ball here and turn down a lot of other opportunities. I know the pressure that comes with that, and I can definitely help him, figure out how to, walk the line on some of those things, and dealing with, the pressures and the media, and your teammates expect a lot out of you. He's a very high-profile player, and just there's just things you got to do when you come in with that. With that name tag as a quarterback. He's one of the highest recruited quarterbacks we've had here, and he just got to come in and be one of the guys and work hard and earn respect from the other guys and earn a spot on the field.
What are your kind of thoughts on the program? Obviously, kind of grown and really had some success since your playing days.
Oh, I couldn't be more happy with where the program is right now. Coach Stoops got here. We got to be really close friends immediately, and I'm his biggest supporter, and I truly am. I believe in what he does and the program that he runs. I believe in his coaching staff and the way they recruit, the way they develop players, and they win games. He's a winner, the all-time winningest coach to ever coach here. I think we all had high expectations of Mark when he got here, but he's far and away exceeded any of the expectations that anyone thought he could accomplish here. I think the thing that's been most impressive about what he's done to me is, Kentucky football has always kind of been one of those programs where we've had some good, a good year here, and then we had a few down years, and it's kind of been a roller coaster, and Mark has leveled that playing field where we're year in and year out a heck of a football team. And, we don't always win 10 games, but we play a really tough schedule as well. And, you're not going to win 10 games every year in the SEC, and that's just the facts. But, we're competitive. We're a respected football team year in and year out. We win games. We go to bowl games. We put guys in the NFL. We recruit well, and we develop. And, I couldn't be more thrilled with where the program is.
You've obviously had an amazing playing career, but you kind of mentioned it gave you opportunities for post-playing career. Kind of looking back on it, what can you take from your playing time at Kentucky, and what was the biggest life lesson that you learned when playing at Kentucky?
Yeah, I think the biggest life lesson probably that I learned from playing here was, just always treat people the right way and make connections when you make the connections you can. Go out and meet people, be involved in the community. You never know who you meet is going to take you in a direction that you never thought you would be in. I've gotten into businesses over the years that I never thought I'd be involved in, but it was all through the connections that I made, through my time at Kentucky. And so I think that would be probably the biggest thing I learned is, being here at Kentucky, playing at a program like this. You have a lot of resources resources. You have a lot of opportunities to better yourself. Everything you need is here, and from the wait staff to the training, to academics, to the football, obviously, and then it's to the people you're going to meet off the field as well. So I tried to take full advantage of all those things and maximize what I could, not only as a player, but what was going to set me up for life after football as well.
Tim, things didn't quite go well for Coach Mummy after you left.
Right.
And yet, the air raid now has swept through college football. A lot of it was because of Mike Leach, but it's
Right.
accepted. When it might not have been as accepted back then.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that when you hear people just immediately start talking about the air raid?
Yeah, I'm very proud of that. When we started that thing here at Kentucky in 1997, I remember there were very few people that believed in it. I know that, and there people were saying you can do that at Valdosta State. You can't do that in the SEC. The pass rushers are too good. You can't drop back and throw it, and you can't do all that. It's not going to work here. And I believed in it because I did it, very similar offense in high school. And, so I knew that I could play in that system. I knew I could do it at this level. And so I was fully on board. And I think, Hal and I, that's why we connected immediately. He didn't have to sell me on this offense. He didn't have to do anything like that. And I remember the first game in the air raid offense, we played Louisville here in this stadium. And, Kentucky had been running the option. They hadn't seen the ball fly in the air a whole lot. And we got the ball and we drove down and I hit 4 or 5 completions and threw a touchdown to Lance Mickelson in the corner of the end zone on the first drive, and it was almost like the stadium was in shock. It was like, wow, this is what it's going to look like, and it just kind of took off from there. I think we had some early success with it, which helped the confidence grow, and then once I started, when I was done playing and I got into broadcasting and going around doing the SEC games and talking to coaches, the stuff they would always comment on, hey, we were down in Kentucky in 97, 98, getting this offense to install. And so there were so many people across the country running the air raid offense or a version of it that, it really makes you proud to say, we kind of, we got that thing going. It's made its way into the NFL now. Cliff Kingsbury was an NFL coach. A lot of the air raid quarterbacks are having a ton of success. Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff. A lot of guys that played in that system are showing that, it's pretty good for the quarterback. It teaches you a lot about the passing game, and so I'm just very happy, very honored, very happy for Hal and Mike, because they were the innovators, they were ahead of their time, and they're the one that put their kind of names on the line of trying a system like that at this level, and it worked for them, and I'm very happy for both of them.
I'd see him.
Because I was at the Florida game as a spectator.
Oh yeah,
My brother Bob was the defensive coordinator.
right.
And you shredded him.
Yeah,
99 yards to Craig East.
Yeah.
Tore him up. And
As soon as Bob got a head coaching job, who'd he hire?
Mike Leach. Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
took it to the Midwest and survived.
Yeah, they won a national championship with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did see him talk to you at all before he announced Hal was coming?
He did. Yeah. I very thankful for CM with that process. Actually, because I was going to transfer, and CM knew that, and he called me in his office and said, if you'll go through this process with me, just give me a few more weeks. I'm going to find a coach that I think you're going to like. And I said, I'll go through the process with you. I definitely will. And I waited, and he called me and he goes, I got a guy for you. And I go, who is he? His name's Hal Mummy. And my first question was, who the hell is Hal Mummy? Never heard of Hal Mummy. I'd never heard of Valdosta State, honestly. I didn't know that either. And but the first time I met Hal, I knew immediately that it was going to work. Yeah, I just felt we had a very, very tight connection. Still to this day, we're very tight. And he described the system to me and showed me film of what he had done at other places, and it just looked what I was doing in high school. So I was very excited, and I told CM that I'm staying. I know this is going to be a good fit for me with Hal being here, and it certainly worked out.
What was it like practicing to Jimmy Buffett?
That was different. Hal has some different. He has some different strategies. We weren't the team in the locker room that was quiet and and no one saying a word. It was Jimmy Buffett playing, and Hal had the big sunglasses on, a towel around his neck, and it was a very loose atmosphere. And not that I think Hal had a very good mix of knowing when to get on guys, because he absolutely would get on guys too. And I think he, people just see from the outside how how cool Hal was and how laid back he was, but he would also get on guys. So he could do both, and I think he knew he had great timing on when to do that and when to push guys and when to back off. But yeah, it was a different atmosphere. It really was, one that I've never played in before. It was certainly different than the Curry era. It was different than what I played in the NFL. But it was also a lot of fun. We when we took the field on Saturdays, we knew we were going to go light people up, and we were going to score points. It was going to be fun for the fans to watch. And we did, and it was we were very consistent with it, and had one of the best offenses in the country, and it was just a lot of fun to play in. As a quarterback, I had great receivers around me, Craig Yeast and Keo Sanford, and all these guys, Anthony White in the backfield, who was a phenomenal football player. So it all worked out, and we had the perfect guys for that system. Thankfully, because like I said earlier, we're running that option offense, and we didn't know we had the guys for that spread offense until we put them in the spread offense. And then it took off. We didn't know Anthony White could run routes like a wide receiver out of the backfield. We didn't know Craig Yeast was going to be, the leading receiver in the history of the SEC when he graduated. We didn't know any of those things until you put guys in a position to be the best versions of themselves, and that's what great coaches do. They put guys in position to make plays and be the best versions, and guys, their careers take off. And I saw a lot of that here when Hal and Mike were here.
Somebody brings up your UK career. What's the first game that comes to mind?
There's a lot. The Louisville game, like I mentioned earlier here, Hal's first game, that comes to mind. The Louisville game, the opening of Papa John's Stadium, where we lit them up pretty bad. And then the Alabama game. I think just, the Alabama game was special because Kentucky hadn't beaten Alabama in 75 years. And not only did, that we beat them, but like you throw a touchdown pass in overtime to win the game. And I mean, that's what college quarterbacks dream about, to beat Alabama in overtime on a game-winning touchdown pass. And, I remember when I threw the ball and I saw Craig slip the tackle and he went into the end zone, and about the time I saw the official throw the hands up, it felt like all of Commonwealth Stadium was on the field with us. They had rushed the field and the goalposts were coming down. And, just a surreal moment. That's one you never forget. And then, the LSU game, we went on the road and beat LSU, a night game on a last-second field goal down there. You don't win many games in Death Valley at night. And so that was a special win, and just so many. But those are the ones that come to the top of my mind.
Is it true Craig lobbied for that play in overtime?
Craig always lobbied for the ball. Yeah, so that's true. You heard him down there all the time. But no, he did say we had called timeout and it was a third down, and Craig came to the sideline and he told us, he said, hey, if we get in this this trips formation and leave me one-on-one on the backside, they're going to kick the coverage towards the trip side, and I can get one-on-one with the corner, and I can get the first. We're just trying to get the first down, and we weren't thinking touchdown at all on that play. And Craig was just so good after the catch that he slipped the tackle and got into the end zone. But yeah, he lobbied for it like he did about every other play. So.
How it played out, how do you reflect on going number one in the draft now, knowing you went to an expansion team where maybe you didn't have the best support around you?
Yeah, it's tough because, when you're the number one pick in the draft, you're obviously going to the worst team. But that year was especially tough because, like you said, it was an expansion team. And, I was first player on the roster when I got drafted. They had the expansion draft. And then, so we had a few guys. And then, but we were all young guys. We had, we had a few veteran players. But, my best receiver, Kevin Johnson, was a rookie as well. We had a rookie head coach and Chris Palmer, who had been an offensive coordinator forever, but first-time head coach. So we were just young and inexperienced at all the key positions, and it's never going to be really set up for success for a young quarterback. And then I thought about what if I would have stayed for my senior year, and would that have been any different? But the Browns had the number one pick in 2000 as well, so Browns had the number one pick a lot. So so I was going to Cleveland either way on that deal. But I wish it would have went. The only regrets I have about my NFL career is that I wish I could have stayed healthy and had more, success for longer, because I did have some really good moments. I took the Browns to the playoffs. This year's the third time they've been since 1999. So Baker took them a few years ago. So it doesn't happen very often there, and I'm very proud of that, especially with where I started with that team as an expansion team. And I got sacked 56 times and 15 starts that year, an NFL record, to being in the playoffs, 3 years later. I thought that showed a lot of resiliency from our guys and our players and, organization to build that thing. It takes time, but I took some hits along the way. I definitely did. But I just wish I could have stayed healthier. I had 2 shoulder surgeries and thumb surgery and a broken leg and broken ankle and multiple concussions and all those things that, which was crazy because I'd never been hurt in high school or college, never missed a game, never missed a snap. And then the NFL, the injury bug hits you, and once it hits you, it's hard to shake it. So I just wish it would have been more sustained success. I really thought I was going to be, a guy obviously coming in with the #1 pick. I thought I'd play 15 years in the NFL without a doubt. Because there's literally nothing else I wanted to do in life. But being an NFL quarterback, they would have had to kick me out of the league if I was healthy. I would have played forever. But it didn't work out that way. But I'm still very thankful. It was a great opportunity to be the #1 pick, to be a franchise quarterback, to start NFL games and those kind of things. And it's had a great run, and really don't have any regrets other than wish I could have stayed healthier.
All right, I think